Most people use AI to write emails. Almost nobody has thought to turn it around and ask AI to read them. And that's what this video is about. We're going to take a collection of business emails, hand them to Claude all at once, and ask it what it sees. And what comes back is genuinely surprising. Not because it's clever, but because it's accurate in a way that's hard to explain until you watch it happen. So let's get into it. You've read every email you've ever sent, every single one. You wrote it, you sent it, you probably remember at least a version of it. But here's the thing. Reading your emails and reading your email collection are two completely different activities. One tells you what happened in a specific conversation. The other tells you what keeps happening across all of them. That second one, most people have never done it. And it turns out there's a lot in there. Think about what your sent folder actually is. Every email is a data point. Every reply you get back is a signal. The questions clients ask, the things that get delayed, the follow ups that never quite close. It's all in there. The intelligence is already sitting in your inbox. It has been the whole time. What's been missing is a way to look at it all at once instead of one conversation at a time. Here's what that looks like in practice. A client asks the same question you feel like you've answered before. A project stalls in the same spot it always stalls. A follow up goes quiet, and you find yourself sending the third version of the same nudge. Each time it happens, it feels like a one off. You handle it and move on. But if you could zoom out and see every instance of it across a month of emails, you'd recognize it immediately as a pattern. The problem is you can't do that while you're inside it. Patterns don't come with a label. They don't show up as a notification that says, hey, this keeps happening. They show up as a vague feeling, a low level frustration, a sense that something is recurring, but you can't quite name it. To actually see a pattern, you have to step back far enough to see the whole picture at once. And that's genuinely hard to do when you're in the middle of it every single day, handling each email as it comes. But this is where AI becomes genuinely useful in a way most people haven't tried. Hand Claude a collection of emails and ask what it sees. It brings zero history to any of them. It hasn't been dealing with these clients for months. It has no fatigue, no assumptions, no emotional context attached to any thread. It just reads the whole stack at the same time and tells you what's actually there. That's a perspective you cannot give yourself from inside your own inbox. Before we run the demo, here's the setup so you can follow along and try it yourself. Step one is grabbing a collection of sent emails. A month is a good target, but any meaningful collection works. You're just copying and pasting them in. Step two is a quick privacy pass. Swap out client names for something generic, person A, person B, company X. A find and replace takes about 2 minutes and keeps everything appropriately anonymous. Step three is the prompt. One ask. We're going to tell Claude exactly what role to play and what to look for, and then we paste in the emails. That's it. All right, let's go ahead and do this live. Quick note before I paste anything in. For this demo, we're working with a smaller sample than you'd ideally use. About 10 emails from a fictional home services business. That's enough to show you exactly how this works, but a real analysis gets sharper as you add more. And I'll come back to that as we see the output. Here's how the prompt is built. The system prompt does two things. First, it locks Claude into the role of a business communication analyst focused specifically on operational patterns, not writing style, not tone, not anything about how the emails sound. We explicitly excluded that because it keeps the output focused on what's actually useful. Second, it specifies the exact 5 sections we want back, which makes the output predictable and easy to work with. The user input is straightforward. It's just the emails, plain text with names swapped out. No special formatting, no organization required. So here's the system prompt we're using. You are a business communication analyst. Your job is to analyze a collection of business emails and identify patterns the sender is too close to see themselves. You're looking for operational signals, not communication style. Return exactly 5 labeled sections. 1. Recurring themes. What topics, requests, or situations keep coming up across these emails? List the top 3 with a brief observation about each. 2. Friction points. Where does the communication show signs of repeated friction, confusion, delay, or unresolved issues? Be specific about what the pattern suggests operationally. 3. What your contacts are telling you. What are the people on the other end of these emails consistently asking for, pushing back on, or expressing confusion about? 4. The operational signal. Based on the full collection, name the one business problem these emails are circling around without directly stating. This is the diagnosis, not a summary. 5. The blind spot. Name one pattern the sender almost certainly has not noticed because they're reading each email individually instead of as a data set. Draw only from the emails provided. Do not offer advice or solutions. Do not comment on writing style or tone. Return only the 5 sections. We'll go ahead and provide those instructions to Claude here. And it's ready. We're going to go ahead and paste. We've got 10 generic emails here. The identifying details have all been removed. So just generic business emails. Following up on a quote, crew finished up, everything looks great. Let me know if you have questions. Needing to push the start date, circling back on the quote. To a supplier, following up on the order. We were expecting a delivery. Wanted to check in. Hope everything's holding up well. So just really simple, basic emails that you would send from any business inbox. Let's see what Claude can do with it. For the recurring theme, following up on themes already sent. Quotes, invoices, and orders are sent and require a second or third contact. Schedule slippage. One client had their start date pushed, received a delay explanation, and then received a second message. Supplier unreliability. Supplier delay appearing twice. Friction points. Client A required 3 touch points just to advance a quote conversation. Supplier X has not responded to 2 contacts, and the second required urgency language. Client C received 2 separate delay notifications. What your contacts are telling you. Clients are not responding until chased. At least one client is requesting scope changes after the work has been defined. Client C is being asked to absorb schedule changes they did not create. Here's the operational signal. The business does not have reliable control over its own timeline. Jobs run long, supplier deliveries arrive late, schedule commitments shift, and client responses lag. And each of these is being managed reactively, one email at a time. The emails are not the problem, they're the evidence of a business operating without enforceable milestones at any point in the process, before work starts, during delivery, or after invoicing. And the blind spot. The sender is treating each follow up as a one off nudge. Read together, the follow up emails reveal that nothing in this business has a mechanism that creates a response without a second contact. Quotes, invoices, supply orders, post job check ins, schedule changes. Every single thread requires the sender to chase. The sender almost certainly experiences this as other people being slow. The data suggests the system has no built in accountability at any handoff point. Take a moment with that last one. The blind spot section isn't pointing out something that happened in one email. It's pointing out a structural pattern that runs across the entire collection. And the only reason it's visible is because Claude read all 10 at the same time. If you read those emails one at a time, each one feels normal. But together, they tell a different story. So let's look at what just came back. 5 sections, each focused on something operational. Recurring themes show what keeps surfacing. Friction points show where things are stalling. The contact signals section reframes what your clients and colleagues are actually communicating, including what they're not saying directly. The operational signal gives you the diagnosis, and the blind spot gives you the one thing you almost certainly were not seeing. None of that is about how your emails sound. All of it is about how your business is running. The blind spot section is the one that tends to land differently from the others. When you read each email individually, it feels handled. You sent the follow up, you addressed the delay, you responded to the scope question. Each one feels like a closed loop. But when you read them as a collection, the loop never fully closes. The same unresolved dynamic runs underneath all of them. That's what Section 5 surfaces, and you can only see it from outside the collection. For this demo, 10 emails kept things tight enough to follow in a single video. But the honest version of this is that 10 is just the floor. At 30 emails, patterns start to sharpen. Themes that looked coincidental at 10 start to look structural. At a full month, you're seeing the real picture, the actual rhythms of your business communication, not just a sample of them. The prompt works the same regardless of volume. You're just giving Claude more signal to work with, and the output gets more specific as a result. Here's the part that matters as much as the demo. Claude can tell you something keeps coming up. It can name the shape of the pattern clearly. What it cannot tell you is what to do about it. Whether the follow up pattern is a process problem, the client selection problem, or just a rough month. That's a judgment call that requires knowing your business, your clients, and your history. Claude has none of that. It only has what you give it. The output gives you the question, a sharp, specific, well formed question that you probably weren't asking before. Answering it is still your job, and that's exactly how it should work. Give this one a try. Pull in your last month of sent emails, do a quick name swap, run the prompt, and see what comes back. The thing that surprises most people is that the output doesn't feel generic. It feels like it's describing your business, because it is. And if you want to take it further, if you want help building this into something that runs regularly or feeds into a real operational review, that's exactly the kind of work Eau Claire AI does. You can find us over at eauclaireai.com. Subscribe if you want to see more of these videos. We've got new demos every week, all focused on things AI can do that most people haven't thought to try yet. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.